Reaction from someone who maybe. The Supper Club, brought to you by
Kuna Food Service, a family-owned tradition since 1918. The Pasta House Company Restaurants. Lordo's Diamonds, your family jeweler for life. Barquette Realty, nationwide real estate investor.
and Fresta Limoncello. Keep sipping, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of The Supper Club. I'm Joe Fresta, brought to you by Kuna Food Service. We're here with MMA champion Jermaine Andre. Jermaine, welcome to the show.
What's up, Joe? Thanks for having me over here.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting chat. You are a two-time world champion,
Yes.
five-time United States champion,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, I am.
And you're in the MMA Hall of Fame,
Yes, United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame.
Martial Arts
Yes.
Hall of Fame.
As the first mixed martial art master.
Wow,
That was
quite the
title
resume.
they gave me. Yes.
And you're an author.
Yes, I am. A lot of books.
How many books now?
Oh my goodness, probably about 15 published.
Published?
And that's published. I've got probably about 6 or 7 sitting that I'm trying to stay away from.
Okay.
Because they take a lot of my time.
Yeah.
And I need to push the ones that are published.
Yeah, there's only so much time in the day, right?
Not enough.
Not enough.
Not
And the
enough.
days and the weeks go by so fast.
Yes, it does.
But let's just go back to the beginning. How did you get into fighting? What got you into it from the beginning?
The streets.
Okay.
So
All
that's what
right.
got me into it. Now I always trained in the martial arts. My mother was into the martial art movies. You know,
Really?
so Bruce Lee. I was a big
Oh,
Bruce Lee
yeah, the
fan.
best.
Jim Kelly, Chuck Norris. You know, so
Right.
I came up loving all of them.
Wow.
So I would practice, but then I ended up getting into a lot of street fights, and I was dealing with a lot of bullies, and I would never back down. And I
Right.
picked up that attitude. You know, I'm sure it's in my bloodline, but I picked it
Right.
up from watching the movies. You know, that you stand on your honor, you don't back down.
Right.
And I was good. Well, because I was trained and not trained in a lot as a kid, but I would take what I was trained in and I used it for real.
You were
So I got
self-trained, though, in the streets,
self-trained in the streets.
and then you took it to the ring.
Right. So from there, yes, from what happened in the streets, you know, I grew up and went through, you know, a lot of street years, even my teen years, you know, getting into street fights and things like that, playing sports. But then I saw the UFC. And when I saw it on TV when it first came out, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, I can see what these guys are doing. You know what? I can kick some of their butts, you know,
Right.
because I was good. You know, I'm martial arts. I say, these guys are muscle bound. They're just not afraid. You know, I'm
Right.
not seeing anybody really tricking anybody, using anything. They're just raw, you know, tough.
Right.
They're bad. Said,
Yeah.
I'm bad and tough, and I know how to maneuver.
Were most of those guys in the beginning, were they from the streets too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, back in when MMA first came out, you called us MMA pioneers.
Okay.
And we were the ones who actually created mixed martial arts. We knew different several martial arts, and we would mix them together to fight each other.
Right.
You know, we had a striking art, a takedown and throw art, a grappling art. And then we would challenge each other and go in and fight. But most of us were street fighters, you know, they were knock around guys, you know, all of your tough guys out there. But then what happened, we started to dilute and clean it out when you learned that the martial artists who were fighters started cleaning out all of just the tough guys.
Right.
You know, because they started using the skills. And that's where I got the interest. I saw it, but that was back when there were no rules, and it was pretty much banned everywhere. You know, when I first started fighting, you could fight in Illinois, I think South Carolina or somewhere down south.
Oh,
And
really?
then outside of the country, that was pretty much it.
Because there were no rules. I mean, it was pretty much anything goes.
Yes.
And they were, where would these fights take place? In gymnasiums?
Well, they would
You weren't quite in the big arena
not all the time.
game yet.
Yeah, I
or
mean, they
were
could
you?
happen. They could happen on the streets.
Okay. just build a ring in the parking lot
Sometimes there
somewhere?
was not a ring. You know, it's just
Okay,
a dirt
well.
patch, concrete, whatever. But as far as when it started getting organized,
Yeah.
then it could be at a nightclub. You know,
Yeah.
I know that a good friend of mine, Jesse Finn, he was really good with that. He would take these nightclubs and throw fights there. You know, and then also they started picking up the community centers. You know, the civic centers, places like that. Matter of fact, Brian Madden, he was one of the first people to actually introduce MMA fighting to the Midwest, and he had the Collinsville Gateway Center.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's where we were fighting now, but they had rules. We couldn't punch to the head on the ground.
Right.
So we could do everything standing up, but then this is what would happen. We even would fight, and like one time I cracked a guy with an elbow standing up, and it messed him up pretty bad. So the next fight, they said, you can't throw elbows. I said, well, wait, what kind of, and then the next fight, I kicked the guy, and it cracked his femur bone. So they said, you have to wear leg guards when you kick. So the rules are always changing on
You were pioneers. I
Yes,
mean, because
big
you
time.
guys built the game.
Yes.
You built it as you went, and the rules started to come in and formed what is now.
Yes, but it's
What
a
it is.
great sport. I'm so happy the rules came in. When I was fighting, I didn't care. I didn't need rules. They could. I mean, I'm just telling the truth. They could have threw me knives and said, "Go with knives." So let's go. You know. So we needed these guys to come in and create
Yeah.
this sanction. And when they created it, they did such a good job. And I'm so happy to say that. You know, first of all, these MMA fighters are making real money. We
Yeah.
weren't making anything. I can remember a fight for $75 one day.
Wow.
You know, but now they're making money. They got careers. They're athletes. They're sportsmen. And it's you don't see anybody getting hurt real bad
No.
in it. You know, more people
Not-
get hurt in football and girls high school soccer. you
Yeah,
know,
right.
Than they do.
And the
in MMA.
referees do a good job.
Oh, my
You know,
goodness,
I've
they're so
watched
good.
some.
Yeah.
The what's going on now. They really know. Okay, that's it.
They get in
know?
there and save us.
Yeah.
I remember I thanked the ref one time. You know, I got knocked out. You know,
Oh, okay.
once, and I said it never happened again. It never did. And when I got knocked out, I hit, and that guy was right over me. I watched the video. He's getting ready to put it on me. And that ref was right there, and he stopped that. And I went to that ref later after. I said, "Man, hey, thanks for
Yeah.
saving my life." You know,
Yeah,
who knows where that was
right.
going to go? So the refs have a lot to do with
Yeah,
that.
they're very conscientious of what's going on. And
Yes.
They watch you guys, which is really great. But the sport has really grown. I think it's more popular now than even boxing
Yes.
once was. I mean, it's amazing. You got the Conor McGregors of the world, who did he just get defeated? He just lose a fight.
Yeah, he
or
did just
something?
lose a fight.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, how
And-
old is he? He's getting up in years now.
Yeah,
isn't he?
he's over 40. I know.
Oh, is he
that.
really?
Yeah, and which, you know, I mean, you've got some guys. I know one of my favorite guys was Boss Root, and he would always fight. He was old and he didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, he was fighting and winning. And anybody can lose. You know, that's one thing you learn. That's what
right.
I'm loving about MMA is it's getting to the point where, you know, it's not as like boxing. I love boxing. Boxing
Yeah.
is beautiful. It's always going to be
Yeah.
the high class. It's own thing, number one up there in that area.
Right.
You know, it's beautiful. These guys are skilled, but you can kind of learn what this guy can do. And
Right.
we can train against that. But in MMA, you got too many weapons.
There's too many
Too many weapons.
variables to the game.
If you beat me in boxing, I'm just gonna kick your leg.
Right.
You know, and if you beat me in kickboxing, I'm gonna shoot it and take you to the ground.
There's guys that
you
are
know?
better at grappling,
Yeah.
guys that are better at the upper body area.
Right.
You know, so there's all these repertoires of what they can throw at you.
Yeah.
And you got to know
A lot to look out for.
all the nuances.
Yeah.
So what would go through your mind like right before a fight? Like when you're, you know, how do you focus? What goes on in the dressing room before you go out? Walk me through all that.
Whenever fight time came, first of all, I held high honor to the fight game. It was I had a lot of respect for it. So to
Right.
me, it wasn't just a tough guy thing. You know, it was a fight is the most intimate thing two human beings can do. You know, we got the other thing, which is intimacy, and you can create life with that. But with fighting, you can save a life and you can
Right.
take a life. You know, somebody be getting attacked, and I come in, you know, police officers, security,
Yeah.
and military and defend, and they just save lives. But they can also turn it and they can take lives. So that's a really important moment between two people coming together to exert everything they have into trying to dominate each other. So I had a lot of respect, a lot of honor for it, a lot of honor towards who I fought. So I always had ceremonies. I would pray, you know, pray for the safety of me and my opponent
Sure.
while we tried to murder each other. you know,
Right.
and I would say protect us.
But it
we're-
keeps you right here. It sort of keeps you in
and when
a,
you say right there, that's where I was
Yeah.
at. When I went in, it's called Mind No Mind or Mushin. And I would meditate, I would drink tea. Even before I trained, my trainer Ron Smith, he would burn incense, he would bless me and pray over me. And it was to get to a total calm.
Right.
You know, I didn't go in wanting to beat him, wanting to hurt him, wanting to win or wanting to lose. It was mind no mind where I'm just feeling everything. It's an intuition. So I remember they interviewed me one time and they said, "Well, Jermaine, you fight such stuff. What do you plan on doing?" I said, "I have no plans." They said, "You don't know what you're gonna do?" I said, "No, he's gonna tell me by the way he attacks me, the way he defends. I'm gonna feel him out. This is a dance. You know, I'm coming in, I'm gonna feel this guy out, and that's how I'm gonna defeat him. He's gonna let me know what to use on him. So you have to have that empty mind to be able to do
right.
that.
It's a quiet calm.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And there's a respect, and then there's also an appreciation piece to it, I would guess,
Yes.
for yourself, for your opponent, and for the game itself.
The game itself, yes.
Right.
For all the, unless I said it so much, people have no idea. You talk about the MMA pioneers of what we went through. You know, I mean, right now I've got the back of my teeth are all almost gone.
Oh,
They're
boy.
knocked out. You know, I got like two people laugh and take me so long to eat, but I got like 2 teeth in the back.
Oh, really?
They look
Yeah.
great from the front. I say, thank God the front didn't get knocked out, but
Yeah.
back there, you know, but I always say this: it's not just the fighters. I watch promoters lose everything they have. You know, I watch these cameramen come in and they get knocked off and get hurt. You know, there's so many people involved in this. People who help me to promote shows, sell tickets out there in the streets, and they got nothing out of it because it just wasn't making any money back then. So there was a lot of blood and sweat and tears put into the game, and I always kept that in mind whenever I went in there to fight my opponent, who I loved at that moment more than anyone, because he was just like me. Right. And it was always sad for me. One of the reasons I had to go into mind on mine, because I didn't want to hurt my opponent. I didn't want to beat him sometimes. Because I said, he trains like me. He's a good man like me. I don't want to embarrass him in front of this crowd, his family. Right. So I would have to meditate that away.
So there's a humility piece to it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the humbleness. Yeah. You know, and I'm a very caring person for people. I love people. I just got this thing. I love people. I feel for people. You know, I cry a lot. You know, thinking about people and the things that happen with them. So when I meet, and back then MMA fighters are all great people. They were nice guys. When I meet them and you eat dinner with them, you meet their family. I'm like, I don't want to beat this guy up tomorrow.
So you guys all hang out, like you guys are friends. You're you just it's kind of a community.
Yes, it is.
Away from the ring.
Yes,
which is really cool. You know, it's like you know, and you talked about getting your your teeth, your back. As a hockey player, the front of my teeth are all gone. I got all fake teeth.
Well, you need to hook me up with your guy because they look great.
They took care of me, but but it's why I asked you about, you know, before the fight. And I mentioned hockey. I know a lot of the tough guys in hockey. Some of them are friends of mine, and they would always talk about how they always had to put this front up, but they would be in the locker room knowing that they had to fight their tough guy because that was their job.
Yes,
and there was some fear, you know, because depending on who they had to fight, because you know, it's dangerous. Yes. You know, once those helmets come off, and a lot of those guys in the older days, they didn't even wear helmets. You know, and they just went at it. And so...
And hockey players are vicious, strong, and explosive.
You know? And they're on ice.
Yeah, it's not going to be this. It's going to be... They're just coming and throwing. It's different.
It's a different kind of fighting. Yeah, for sure. So I can understand, you know, I hear that part in the hockey aspect, and then I'm hearing what you're saying. There's a lot of congruency there. Yeah. Did you have a walkout song? Favorite walkout song?
I would mix them up.
Did
you know? I mean, let's see. What was one of my favorites?
Yeah.
I came out to Bad to the Bone.
Okay. I
love
George
that
Thorogood.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones to come out to. Was Bad to the Bone. And then I had a friend, and his rap name was Emperor, and he made a song for me, and a great song. And it's called Enter at Your Own Risk. And we did the music for it and everything. And he actually raps about my life experiences. Yeah. You know, and he said, enter at your own risk, you know, coming in with me. Yeah. Because that was one of the things I would always put myself, like you say, I follow the code of Bushido as a samurai.
Okay.
And a samurai doesn't fight emotionally. He's not there because he wants to kill you. He's there following and serving a higher purpose than himself. So that's why I would have to put my mind, you know, because like you say, I know I'm gonna give you just a good example. I had a fight in the beginning of my career, and I fought Adrian Serrano. Adrian Serrano was like 10-time world champion. This dude, he would fight tonight and fly and go fight 3 days later and fly. Really? And he would fight 2-3 times MMA, you know.
Right.
And he was just kicking butt. So I ended up fighting him before I should have fought him. It was early in my career.
Okay.
You know, and that's not whining. I went in and I took the fight, and he got me in a chokehold, and I tapped out.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, okay, he got me. I said, I'm going to re-get him. And so while
you learned from it.
Yeah, I was going to rematch him. So before I rematched him, we fought together on Team USA versus Hawaii. You know, Team USA.
Really?
So yeah, we went on teams together.
So you became friends.
Yeah, we became great friends. We trained together. I'm rooting for him and everything. But I had to get that revenge because my guy Brian Madden, you know, he was like, oh, you can beat him.
Honor.
Honor. I had to get it. And he wanted it. You know, he said, no, I'll rematch you anytime, brother. So I trained for him and got ready. And, you know, I went in and I knocked him out with a kick to the head. And it was a beautiful defeat. You know, I dominated the fight, you know, and I knocked him out, you know, and you can see in the corner, you look at me, and I'm just standing there like that, you know, and I went, he's down, and I went right over and got him up.
Are you okay?
You know, you okay? Right. I was not going to let that man get made fun of. Right. So that's what I was fighting with that. I did not like knocking him out. You know, I did not want to embarrass him like that. I don't run around the ring, and I stood him up. He's like, what happened? I said, just be quiet. Hold on to me. You know, and he held on to me, and I'm trying to just make sure he doesn't fall over again. But that's what I was dealing with. But it was the code, the samurai code, that made me be able to go in there and do what I'm supposed to do.
Switch over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flick that switch. Yes.
Do you prefer submission or knockout?
Knockout.
Okay. All right.
Striking
That was
is,
quick.
Striking is
That was
sexy,
quick.
grappling's gross. And
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I say that, I'm a natural grappler.
Yeah.
You know, jiu-jitsu, all that. I was doing jiu-jitsu when people said it didn't work. They didn't even know what it was. That was back
Yeah.
in '96 or whatever it was. You know, so I love it. It is magical. The things you can do with that is just, you're like, how in the heck can that happen? You know, but I don't want a sweaty guy on me. So my whole fight career, I actually developed it around keeping a guy from touching me.
Right.
So I would, come on.
Personal space.
Yeah, don't personal space. It's like, don't invade my space. Get your
Yeah.
hands off me.
That's
Bow, boom.
hilarious.
Let's knock each other out
Yeah.
instead of going on the ground. So sometimes, I was known for this. If we ended up on the ground, I would just stand up. Even if I was in a dominant position, like a mount on top of them, I would get off and stand up.
You
And
prefer
then-
to be up top.
Yeah, and then everybody would look.
Not on the ground.
I don't want to be on the ground.
Right.
And then the guy would be like, well, that was stupid. I mean, he
Yeah.
was on top of me.
Yeah.
And I said, get up, fight like a man. That's what I would
Right,
say.
right,
Stand on
right.
your feet, fight like a man.
Yeah.
And the ref would go, yeah, get up and fight like a man.
Yeah.
And the audience, they wanted to see the striking because they didn't understand
Yeah.
grappling back then. They thought it was high school wrestling.
And the fans want that too, probably.
They want the striking.
They want the knockout.
Yeah.
It's like the grand slam in baseball, right?
Right.
The-
And
yeah.
I'd say nowadays people understand more when you get into the jiu-jitsu, Russian sambo, the judo. They know what the technique is when somebody you just hear and this is happening.
Yeah.
And we're both,
Yeah.
and he's getting ready to break my arm and I'm fighting against it. They know.
Oh, yeah.
So when I tap, they say, oh, he got him.
Yeah.
Back then they were like, what happened? What
Yeah,
did he do?
Yeah, well, you get your arm going the other way, right? It's, what do they call that? The arm
That's a
bar?
hyperextension. That's an arm bar.
No.
Hyperextension, that elbow. Ooh.
No, that would not be good.
Yes.
Yeah, so what would you say is the most difficult aspect of training? What's the one thing when you're training for a fight? I don't know how many weeks you train for a fight, but what's the most difficult aspect of it?
I would train when I was fighting, I would train for 2 months, 3 months.
Okay.
I always stayed in shape. I never cut weight. I didn't believe in that. I fought at 183. That was the weight I would hit. And I would never get over 188,
Okay.
189 while I was
Right.
right before a fight. So, of course, when a fight came, there was no intimacy with women anymore. Of course, no drinking, no anything, no partying, no junk food. The hardest thing was myself. I was very afraid of myself. And I would train so hard. My trainer, Ron Smith, he was tough. He's Muay Thai, he fought Muay Thai kickboxing and things like that. So he understood what I was doing.
Okay.
And I would kill myself in training. I mean, I would push myself until I was dead. In fact, this is, I'll say this, and this is anybody watch, do not try this at home. This was stupid for me to do. But I actually would go, I lived in Collegeville, and I would go on, I think it was Highway 59 right there, where the speed limit's 35, everybody's doing 45, 50.
Oh, okay.
And I would stand in traffic with my eyes closed. And you can hear those cars, get out of the road, you idiot.
In the highway?
Yeah, not Highway 70. I wasn't that stupid.
Okay.
This was still stupid.
Okay.
But I was standing to teach myself to remain calm. So I was dangerous to myself. And then I would go and I would kick oak trees. Because in Thailand, the Thai boxers, they kick banana trees. Well, banana
Okay.
trees give. Oak
Right.
trees don't give.
No.
And so I said, we don't have banana trees here. Oh, that's what we got here. So I would go to Spanish Lake Park.
Oh,
and I
boy.
would, boom, bow, shin kick, elbow those trees. And I had no thought towards what I was doing to myself. So, but I was smart enough to know that, Jermaine, you're really pushing it hard.
Right.
But I had so much respect and honor towards that warrior code. So a lot of times I'd be afraid of what I might do to myself. Like you say, even running in sweatsuits, and running 5 miles, it's 120 degrees out at 3 p.m.
You had no limit.
No limit.
There was no limit
Yes.
in your head as to what you would do or might do or
Yeah.
to give yourself an advantage
To try to
win
reach
the
to be
next-
the best.
To
that
be
I
the
could
best.
Yeah, because I had no fear of losing. As a warrior, you're not supposed to be afraid of losing. If I lost, that was the better
Yeah.
man for that day.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that when I got knocked out, and I went to the after party that night,
Man.
and I went and drank and I had fun. The guy who
Yeah.
beat me, he's like, "Hey man, I'm sorry." I said, "What?" I said, "I was trying to do the same to you, partner. Don't say sorry." And he's like, "Man, thanks, man." He said, and we talked, and he said, "Yeah." He said, "You almost had me," because I actually dropped him, and he
Yeah.
got saved by the bell. He said, "You almost had me," but when I came back, he said, "I was getting ready to give up." He said, "But all I did was think about my son." I said, "You know what? I wasn't thinking about my kid." I said, "You deserve
Yeah.
to win. I'm glad
Yeah,
you got
wow.
me." So I never was afraid and worried about the losing, but it was in the training how far I would push myself, the
Yeah,
things I would do.
yeah.
So lucky I had Ron Smith, and he would calm me down. Because even as
Wow.
I was a tough Muay Thai. I wouldn't block. I'll let you just hit me, and I want to drive right through you. And Ron Smith told me, he said, you don't have to get punched in the face.
You're worried about playing in the street. I'd be worried about eating too much pasta and pizza. You know? Playing in traffic.
Yeah.
But talk about your trainer. How important he is. Was it one guy throughout your career?
No, it wasn't. There
Okay.
were several. Ron Smith was my Muay Thai kickboxing and judo instructor,
Okay.
and MMA too. And he was the one who was with me mostly. You know, he would
Okay.
sacrifice him, and when I say he, I say him, his wife Gail, and his son. They would sacrifice their holidays because he would come and train me if I had a fight coming up.
Oh, wow.
And instead of going and having dinner with his family, and they didn't give him any problems with it. They let him do whatever he needed to do. He traveled to Japan with me to fight. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
traveled to Canada to fight with me, and miss his holidays with his family. So they all sacrificed for me.
Yeah.
You know, and him, you know, Brian Madden. You remember Brian? If you remember wrestling at the Chase, he was one of the Killer Bees.
Yeah, wrestling at the Chase.
Yeah, he's one of the Killer
right.
Bees. So he was the one who introduced me or got me into MMA and started
Wow.
booking me to fight. He's my manager also, and he brought in Slava.
Talk about pioneers.
Yeah,
Those guys.
Those guys. Yeah, Slava
Yeah.
from Russian Sambo, Mike Griffin. He's really somebody up in my jiu-jitsu, and he actually trained me to teach law enforcement and bodyguards and bouncers. And he really changed me as a person when he taught me the mission of law enforcement. Because I always, I grew up, fighting in the streets, getting into it with the cops, things like that, and I always looked at law enforcement as they were just trying to dominate and control.
Right,
and when
right.
he taught me, no, this is you have to give people chances. I'm kind of like, well, it just totally helped my character and helped me to become a better person as a person.
So he was kind of he helped you in not just inside the ring, but
Right.
in life, outside the ring,
as a citizen.
as just a regular
And a trainer
person,
and an instructor.
in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which, of course, Ron did also. Brian Madden was a great friend. He ended
Okay.
up passing away. He's one of the first I won my titles under his show. He threw the SFC show. That's what he threw. He connected me with some great guys. Matter of fact, before I started grappling, it was so funny. He took me over to meet. His name's Joe Garamillo. Now, Joe
Okay.
Garamillo was jiu-jitsu and ground guy. He was ground guy.
yeah.
Loved the jiu-jitsu. Well, I was a hot-headed striker. I don't need that ground crap. I'll knock somebody out. This and that. He said, I want you to meet somebody, buddy.
Yeah.
And so he took me over there and he said, okay, Jermaine, just go in there and just work with him. And so I went in and I'm wrestling around with him and I just feel my arm I'm like, what the? And then he let go. And he said, I said, what the heck was that? And he said, bro, you know how to tap? I said, what is that?
Yeah.
He's like, okay. And he told me, you got to tap out when you feel it. He said, I was breaking your arm. I said, you were breaking my arm.
Sure.
And I said, you ain't gonna do that again. Try to crap again. And I used to wrestle, so I'm wrestling, but
Right.
he's just wrapping around me like a boa constrictor.
Yeah.
He gets again, I'm like, oh. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
Well, he said, that's jiu-jitsu. I said, man, that's amazing. But then Brian Bass said, hey, Jermaine, I didn't just bring you here to learn a lesson. I brought him here to learn one too. I said,
Yeah.
okay. He said, you got to start on
Yeah.
your feet. He said, Jermaine, give him one of those Muay Thai leg kicks. I said, a real one? He said, yeah. So we start up, and I fake that jab, kick him in his leg, and he looks
Yeah.
at me. He falls down, and he almost threw up. It's so funny. He
Now
said,
you
almost
kick him.
threw
You
up.
kick him down here
Right in
in the
the thigh.
side of the thigh.
Yeah, that feeling right there. Yeah,
Ugh.
hit him with that shin bone, the blade of that bone.
You could break it. You could break
Oh yeah,
it.
you could break that bone easy
Yeah,
on him.
yeah.
So
Oh,
it was
boy.
a great day because we both learned our
Different
strengths and
aspects of
weaknesses.
the game.
Learned to respect each other. And then he would bring us together.
Yeah.
He'd bring us all together. He brought Vargas people, Steve Berger, Mike Rogers. I mean, it was called the All Madden Dojo. And I remember his slogan was, we fight. So he didn't care about anything, your belt ranks, anything like that. You want to come fight, we're going to fight. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And he'd bring all of the greatest guys in Missouri together, get us out. We go and travel and fight, Team USA versus, Hawaii, like I said, Team USA
Yeah.
versus this, got us with Monty Cox, got, people in the UFC. So there were so many people that I have, who helped me, not just to be a great fighter.
pick things from and
Yeah,
and
just
put together
individual
your own
things.
game.
Right.
What was it like in Japan? What was it like fighting over there? Because
Oh,
that's
man.
where all the teachings, a lot of them are, right? In Japan, come out of
Yes.
Japan.
Japan was so beautiful. First of all, every single person was the most politest person I've ever met in my life.
Really?
And the main thing is, nobody spoke English.
Oh boy.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. So it
Yeah.
was really hard communicating over there. But the
Right.
fight was great. Dead silence in the audience the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
They hold that code of honor. So the only time they would say something is if you did something great, ooh, they would go, oh, they give a clap, then
and that
dead
was it.
silence.
Oh, wow.
And then when you're done fighting, all of them rush, they just want to touch you. Because they look at you like you're a holy being as
Yeah,
a fighter.
right,
So they just rush and they touch you, and they go crazy. So I really loved it there. When I fought there, the promoters treat you. I remember after the fight, they take you out and you got a table. I mean, as long as this room. And it's just all these, Japanese, all of their people just sitting there, and you just eat what you want. And they gave us all these gifts. I mean, I had just carloads of gifts. Couldn't even take it with me because we had to fly home, on a plane.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, what am I going to do with all this?
Box it up and FedEx it.
Yeah, exactly. So all of these people, they just I loved it over there.
What are the disciplines that came out of Japan?
You got karate, judo, jujitsu, not jiu-jitsu. The samurai bushido came out of there. Aikido, it comes from there. I don't know all the disciplines. I say karate.
A lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them. You got different types of, Shotokan, Shido. You got different types of karate.
Yeah.
So, but the main thing was the karate, the judo, the jiu-jitsu were their main ones.
And where would some other disciplines come out of? What countries?
Chinese was kung fu.
Chinese, yeah.
Thailand. That's my
really?
core
Thailand.
was Muay Thai.
Did you ever go to
kickboxing.
Thailand?
Haven't been there.
I heard it's beautiful.
Oh yeah. I wanted to go fight there, and actually my Muay Thai stems from Krupat, and he's the one who brought Muay Thai to America, to St. Louis in like 1971.
Okay.
He trained Ron Smith, and Ron Smith trained me, so mine stemmed from it. So he tried to find me fights over there, but I was too heavy.
Yeah.
Too big.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
When I fought in Japan, I was I think I was super heavyweight, and that was at
Really?
183 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So-
they're traditionally smaller over there.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I never got a chance to fight there. My crew Pat, he's always telling me to come. And he owns the restaurants on Delmar, the Thai restaurants.
Oh,
Thai
really?
Country, those
Okay.
restaurants. Yeah, he's the owner of those. And so he's like, you need to come to Thailand with me. You need to come to Thailand. I'm
wow.
like, yeah. All right, I'm going to come. So
Yeah. That's
I
like
do
a
have to
couple
get
of
there.
buddies of mine that own the charcoal house. They're from Greece.
Yeah.
The two brothers, George and Steve Angelos, are like, you got to come to Greece with us. I said, I should take him up on it. And you should
Yes.
take up your friend on it.
I am going to. No questions there.
Yeah. So what, like when you get done with a fight, what would be your favorite cheat meal that you had to deprive yourself of while you were training?
Ice cream.
What would you like, man? I'm gonna go get a pizza or
Ice cream first. I mean, pizza always in there.
Yeah.
It was so much. Candy bars.
Yeah.
It depends on what was available.
Yeah.
Pancakes, French toast.
Really?
It was so funny because fighters. We wouldn't. This is how bad we were back when we were pioneers.
Yeah.
We would make the weight. That'd be a day sometimes. Sometimes they let you weigh in 2 days before, and then
Oh,
we would
really?
go pig out. And I
to
mean,
get your energy up.
yeah, well, no, but we were eating wrong, because
Yeah,
you didn't
you
have
were
all
just-
the
yeah.
nutrition and the diet, all that stuff back then.
Yeah, the
we were just
discipline.
winging it. We were tough guys.
Yeah.
So we would all go out together, eat pancakes and drink soda, eat ice cream. We're like, oh my God. So we would just
weigh-in's
splurge.
over. Let's
the
go.
weigh-in's over. Come back in with, guts on us. We're fighting. So we knew we didn't know anything about, refueling properly. We just said, I made weight, let's eat.
Yeah. So today, what would a typical fighter? What would be his dietary restrictions, or what he can and cannot eat
It depends.
leading up to the fight?
It always depends on the fighter. You
Okay.
definitely want to stay away from sugary stuff.
Right.
Of course, not natural sugar. You still have to have that.
Yeah.
A lot of protein, so you can
Yep.
cut down that weight. And a lot of people, they'll cut the carbs totally out. I never would. I kept a little bit in.
Little
Because
bit.
towards the end of my fight
Give you
career,
some energy.
Yeah, I would start getting into it. And I was actually, I knew nutrition.
Yeah.
I studied a little bit of culinary arts, so I was, I understood
Oh,
cooking
really?
and cooking correctly and
Do you
stuff.
like to cook?
Oh yes. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Man, I love to eat.
So you had to
of
do the
course.
meal prep stuff. Did you do that kind of thing? Were you
Yes,
into
I
that?
would do that for myself. And,
Oh, wow.
and I was real healthy. And if you look back when I was fighting, I was one of the only guys who was built like this.
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
guys
yeah.
I fought, now they were tough, but they
were
didn't
just
have the
tough
muscle.
guys.
Yeah, they were just tough. And they would be in shape.
They were brawlers
They were brawlers.
in the beginning.
But I would say this-
I watched a few of your fights, and I noticed that the other guys were just kind of like they were brawlers. You
Yeah.
could just tell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I was a weightlifter still.
Yeah.
I ran track. So I was an athlete. And that's what ended up happening now. Now your MMA fighters are super athletes. I was an athlete at that time, and the guys back then, they were tough brawlers. That's a good way to put it.
Now just the training and the discipline of what they put in their mouth, it's just everything's down to a
Everything
science.
down to a science.
It's
Every
crazy.
gram, every calorie, every movement. No overtraining. I probably overtrained a lot. We all overtrain a lot. I watch guys cut weight. Trying to
Right.
cut 10 pounds, sitting in a sauna for 3 hours, 4 hours, not eating. It got so bad, and it actually happened with high school wrestlers where people were actually dying from cutting weight, where they banned the weight cutting.
I remember in high school, there were wrestlers and they would walk around all day with a
Spit cup.
styrofoam cup from the cafeteria, spitting all day, so they could make weight that afternoon to go to do their match. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, and and it worked. I used to do that with wrestling in high school. We spit, you lose a whole pound spitting all day.
Just spitting all day.
Yeah, just spitting in a cup, but you're dehydrated.
You're dehydrated now.
You know, so I always said to myself, when I would wrestle, I was good, and I was, undefeated the year that I did it. I had one loss, and I would wrestle, but I didn't feel as. Right. I said when I had my calories in, I felt more.
You had fire. You had fire.
Yeah, it was like there was no fire there.
Yeah, fire in your belly.
Just a bunch of unburnt wood.
Yeah, I remember a very good friend of mine in high school. His name was Courtney McGrew, and he was a really good football player. But the assistant coach of the football team was also the wrestling coach, and he would talk a lot of these guys into wrestling too. And I would tell Courtney, I said, Courtney, football is where you want to go. You want to go to college and play football.
Right. Yeah,
you're being counterproductive doing this wrestling stuff.
Right.
I mean, unless you're gonna wrestle heavyweight, the heaviest weight, you're detrimental to your football career.
Right. Because what was his position in football?
He was
he
on the line.
Yeah, because they're gonna make him lose weight for wrestling unless, like you say, he goes heavyweight. Then they'll say, well, you can be as heavy as you want.
Right.
Then just go in.
But he was more, in shape, quick kind of guy, agility type guy. So he needed to keep weight on. You know what I mean? So, but the wrestling he would be taking it off. I'm like, you got to give up this wrestling stuff. Yeah. But anyway,
that, even when you say thanking people, my wrestling coach, my high school wrestling coach, was Coach Brock. He actually runs the St. Louis Central Jail down there. He's the head down there. But he came as a visual performing arts school, and it was so funny because I saw a wrestling poster, and that's back when I was a kung fu guy, karate guy, striker. And I saw it, and I said, what's this stuff? And it was this senior. He was a little bitty guy. Right, he's like, man, you should do that, Jermaine. You'd be good there. I said, man, don't do that crap. I said, I got kung fu. And he said, but would you mind if I showed you a few things? Let me see if they got some out. I said, yeah, you can try. And I went up there. He's like, well, here, okay, Jermaine, try to keep me from it. And this dude just took me like a rag down and had me holding. He's like, and I was like, what the hell you just do to me? He said, try to keep me from holding you on the ground. I'm going to pin you. I said, you ain't going to pin me. He's a little guy. I was way bigger than him. Just used me like a rag down. He tore me up. Oh, my goodness.
Isn't that something?
I earned all total respect. So I ended up wrestling, but I can remember the first thing we had to do when we came in, and Coach Brock, he showed us a suit. I mean, he was a great guy. Then he went and put his onesie on or whatever they call it. And I'm looking like, what? Oh, we got to wear that crap. I'm trying to be tough. And he said, all right, everybody, 45-minute run to warm up. Hit the stairs. I said, what? 45-minute run? So I was thinking he's joking. So I went and ran, and I'm dead. And I didn't even run most of it. We all died. We get back down there, he said, all right, take a break, get some water. I'm like, okay, cool, this is over. He's like, all right, let's wrestle. Wrestle? So, and it was 2 hours, so I learned that hard work from him. Wow. That was, I would always think that even my people, tonight I'm training citizens. I got what's called Citizens Fight Camp. Okay. And I got a bunch of, working regular everyday citizens, some professors, some doctors, and I train like fighters, without the worry about the injury. Yeah. But even that, they're going to start off with a 30-minute run. I tell them that's the first thing you guys are doing, and that's what I remember from all the way back then. That man, when he did that to me, and then that 45-minute run was nothing. In the middle of the season, that's easy. Yeah. It showed me, how far you can push yourself.
Right.
So, like you say, so many people to thank. In all aspects, that's right.
Well, we'll take a break right there, and we'll be right back with Jermaine Andre, and we'll talk more about his training, his books that he's written, and some other things too. We'll be right back on the Supper Club, brought to you by Kuna Food Service.
Kuna Food Service, providing quality food to people across the Midwest, is part of our rich history at Kuna, because food brings people together. We specialize in having a large variety of food products and food supplies, catering to an array of businesses that turn to us. Kuna Food Service, a family-owned tradition since 1918. Lordo's Diamonds, your family's jeweler for life. Family-owned and operated for over 70 years, specializing in engagement rings, fashion jewelry, gemstones, and in-house jewelry repair. Relaxed, friendly atmosphere, competitive pricing, and a selection second to none. Conveniently located just west of the Galleria on Clayton Road. Lordo's Diamonds, your family's jeweler for life. LordosDiamonds.com. Go Fresta for Fresta Limoncello. My handcrafted small batch citrus liqueur is perfect for sipping or pouring in a cocktail. All natural, gluten-free, Fresta Limoncello is sold at Schnucks, Dierberg's, Straub's, Total Wine, and local restaurants. Fresta Limoncello. Keep sipping, my friends.
Welcome back to the Supper Club, brought to you by Kuna Food Service. I'm Joe Fresta. This is Jermaine Andre, and let's talk about, now we've talked about your career, but let's get into your newer career, which is training. You do some bodyguard work. You're an author. Let's start with your training, the different aspects of what you do for people.
Right now, I always like to say this. I'm what you call a human weapon developer. So
Okay.
I develop human weapons.
Okay.
And what I do is I actually, to narrow it all the way down, I liberate people.
Okay.
And people say, well, what do you mean by that? You teach people to fight. And what I do is I teach, right now I'm teaching citizens, is what I do, youth, everyday people, teaching them to defend themselves so you can gain the confidence and you don't have to be afraid. We're not free if we're afraid. Anything that we fear has control of our freedom.
Yeah.
So, and the way to become fearless, one, you got to know how to defend yourself. That, okay, if I get into something, I can handle myself. And then what that does, that gets rid of our ego. It gets rid of our rudeness. We don't have to posture. We don't have to, feel threatened.
Puff out.
Yeah, we don't have to, we call it the chicken chesting. We don't have the chicken chest. We don't have to feel like we're intimidated by other people,
Yeah.
which allows us. And I always say this, that's one of the things I love people so much, because I'm never intimidated. I'm never threatened. Even dangerous people, they don't threaten me, because I know what I can do if I have to turn that clock on.
Right.
So it allows me to see things in them and see better. It allows me to approach them and allow them to feel comfortable around me. Well, they drop those postures, they drop those guards, they drop that ego, and now we're all having fun. Everybody's comfortable, they're free, and everybody's feeling good. So that's what I say when I train people. That's what I'm doing. Youth. I have a youth program.
Oh,
and
good.
It's actually, for one, it's a camp called Character Camp, and I teach them how to shake hands. I teach them respect. They are not allowed to have phones at the table when they eat dinner with their family. They have to make their beds when they wake up.
How young are these folks?
I take them at 12,
Okay,
13,
good.
and I take boys, and actually instructor back, my woman who's with me, she takes girls, teenage girls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we have that camp, and then I have a program called Assault Stop, which is free to all youth anywhere. And what I do is, you've got these zero tolerance fight policies in these schools. So if I'm a bully and you're a guy trying to focus on your grades, and I'm trying to get my bully points up, I can pick on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Right.
it's gonna get worse and worse.
Right.
Because I'm getting bully points and my parents don't care if I get suspended. But you're like, man, I'm trying not to get suspended because I'm trying to get to the college I want.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna
education
keep
is what
messing
I'm
with you.
here
So
for.
now you're a target, and then I finally smack you one and you hit me back. Now you got suspended for fighting back.
Right.
So I created a form that's actually true nonviolent. So in the first one, where they actually cannot, and so we can go all the way to the Supreme Court, and it cannot be considered that kid fought back, that he was fighting back. So they can't suspend that kid who's using Assault Stop. So that program is for free to
And
any
what
kid.
is that exactly?
It's actually, and I'm not going to get the whole program away because I don't want anybody stealing my idea.
Okay.
But I teach them how to defend themselves without actually having to be considered as fighting. You have to be responding violently.
Okay.
So I have a MMA form that takes all the violent responses out, and all the responses are defensive, and to just de-escalate and shut the person
Do
down.
you teach them how to sort of duck punches,
Yes.
or kind of get out of the way, slip
Yes,
moves?
evading.
Kind of like evading.
Yeah, evading.
Okay.
First of all, reading when de-escalation of knowing when the fight's about to happen.
Okay.
Know how to evade, know how to de-escalate with words. One of my favorite books and forms is Verbal Judo. I'm giving them all love on here. I've read his books. It's an excellent style. So I teach them Verbal Judo. They have to read the book Verbal Judo.
Sure.
And I have my own actual de-escalation form. It's called My Art of the Cure: Compassion, Understanding, Respect, and Education. And I say that de-escalation starts before you walk in the door. De-escalation starts before you engage somebody and the problem starts. You got to have compassion towards people. Everybody's going through something. You don't know. They've been through something. So don't just be mean to people. You got to have understanding. Even if they're being, this person's being mean today, maybe he's in pain. Maybe he had bad news or something happened. Don't just, oh man, he's being mean to me, so I'm going to be mean back. Having respect. Even though this person is homeless, that might be a World War II vet, or
You don't know.
you don't know. He may have, or that may be a scientist who was so smart that they were trying to get him to make what he don't want. So respecting that he's accomplished or she's accomplished something in life that you probably can't do. And then education, which is my favorite. I always say, anytime I get arrogant or I feel like this, that's because I'm just ignorant I'm too ignorant to understand how to deal with that individual.
Right.
So then I say, okay, well, Jermaine, you're just being a moron right now. So any response you do violently because of that or to escalate this is because of your own lack of information. So back out of there, and go, even if you got to say, okay, man, it's cool, whatever, as long as it's the appropriate time to surrender,
right.
and go learn about that issue. And I might read something like, oh my goodness, that guy had mental illness. Wow, I'm glad I didn't knock his teeth out.
Right.
So that's one of the things I'm doing for youth. I also train law enforcement.
Okay.
I have, it's called Keep It on the Feet.
I was going to ask you, what's the difference between training law enforcement personnel versus maybe military guys versus just the everyday citizen just trying to be aware of the hazards of life nowadays? You have to be, you got to be careful. Your head's got to be on a swivel these days, So
well, for citizens, the main thing is awareness, and the big difference between, and I always say this, self-defense for a citizen, and it's so funny you asked me that. I made a video. I said self-defense for citizens, law enforcement, and military is not the same.
Okay.
It's not the same. Military is going in to dominate and
they're
take
going
people out.
in.
They're going in to take people
They're
out.
the aggressor.
They're the aggressor. They're usually not getting attacked unless they're, a special ops and they're sneaking in, they get caught tripping and they screw up. Then now, because if a military person have to go hand to hand with somebody or a knife, you failed.
Yeah, right.
You're supposed to be set and
Yeah.
do what you. So I hope we're not sitting in our military and say, hey, let's see who can MMA fight the best to see who wins the war. That's not what they're doing. So for them, it's different the way I train them. And then law enforcement, now they can't escape. A citizen needs to escape to save themselves.
Right.
That's what they want to do. Get out of there. That's priority number one. Or evade there's a problem there. That guy looks bad. Those guys are like, so I'm going to evade and call the cops. The cops have to engage. They have to get into that situation, so they can't run away. And if they do, they can retreat and and of course reset
They got to at least confront.
Yeah, they have to confront the
Not
problem.
be the aggressor, but confront.
Right. And I say this, a lot of people, they'll say they may not like cops and stuff. I say, well, you got to think of this. This is what a cop does. When you get in a situation you can't handle, that's it. We're all tough. I'm a tough guy. But if I get out there and I'm getting my butt kicked,
by 10 people.
I call the cops and say, I need help.
Yeah.
They're going to come and take care of things that I couldn't handle.
Yeah.
If somebody's in my home, the cop's going to come in, get me out of there, protect me, even a female cop. So he's going to say, hey, stay out here, get him to safety, and then go back in there and risk their life while their child's at home, and unprotected by them, and risk their life to get that person. They're not just going to say, okay, we got you out of there now. Oh, hey, get out of there and go run away. They're going to say, we got to capture that guy.
Right.
So he doesn't do that to somebody else. So if we keep in mind that that's what law enforcement is there for, is they come in when we can't handle it.
Right.
And that's what makes, so that's the main thing is the training with them. Citizens, I'm trying to
And
teach
legally you can't handle it.
Right, yeah.
Where they can.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
That's the main thing
You
with
can get yourself-
self-defense is that, the biggest thing is, I say this, the biggest, most important thing with self-defense is knowing when to strike.
Yeah.
Because you strike too soon, you're going to jail. You strike too late, you're going to the morgue.
You're right.
So you have to, I get in my students' heads of teaching them about reading, imminent assaults, reading the right time, making the right moves, trying to escape, disengaging. Somebody's got a cell phone and they're recording. Make sure there's a little, you said,
That's
what?
right.
You're not
That's right.
initiating, that you're doing this and then using the right techniques. Most people don't even know it. Any strike to the head is considered deadly force.
Right.
So you can slap somebody. That still can be considered deadly force because you can knock them out.
You
They
can
fall
hit
to
them in
the
the
ground.
temple just the right way.
Yeah. And people don't know that, so people are afraid to defend
Or
themselves.
they can just fall.
Well, that's what
fall into a
happens.
chair or
Trip.
hit their head on a bar stool or the
You
whatever.
got the manslaughter. You
Yeah.
got manslaughter. That's 5 years, you're gone.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that holds citizens back. They're afraid to defend themselves because they're more afraid of legalities.
What's going to happen to them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's horrible. You can't be. I said you can't be afraid to defend yourself because you're going to lose. Then you're leaving him open to do whatever he wants to do, and you're waiting until you've been attacked.
Especially if you don't know the parameters
Right.
in which you can operate in those situations.
Yes.
Right.
So that's one of the most important things with self-defense that I teach citizens is you have to know when to strike. So the way you do that, this is what you do to bring that person where you're getting away from him, and they're gonna, when they enter this zone, you're 100% legal. There's not a jury of 12 that's gonna say, I wouldn't have done what he did.
Right. Right.
And it's usually this, I'll say this, to help people, even help, the people who are viewing. If you can't escape, and if your life is in immediate danger, if they're trying to commit serious bodily harm to you, or they're trying to kidnap you, you have the right to use deadly force.
Right.
And that's what a jury's going to say. What could you have done besides shoot this guy or stab this guy or palm strike this guy or throat strike this guy? Could you done? Well, couldn't you just walk out
away?
There? Yeah,
Or
yeah,
just
I
go
could
out
have.
the back door.
Go out the back, but if I'm in the elevator, you
Yeah,
know,
right.
or you're
Yeah.
trapped in the bathroom there,
Yeah.
and if you keep that in mind and know that,
Yeah.
then you're comfortable saying, okay, now I know when I can defend myself. Now let me go learn this stuff.
Right.
Where I really know when I
Yeah.
can use it, you know, and let me stay.
Then you
out
can
of-
flip the switch.
You can flip the switch, and then you're controlling the area.
Yeah.
Let me stay. I'm not going to that bathroom because that guy's been looking at me weird and following me.
Right.
So I'm not going to trap myself in there where he can get me. That's
Right.
not happening. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm going to talk to this bouncer first. Say, hey, I'm ready to go to the bathroom, but this guy's been eyeballing me. Can you watch him, please, to make sure nothing happens? Now you've let him.
Were you ever a bouncer?
Yes, sir.
I bet
For
you got
20
some
years.
stories.
Oh my goodness.
Where were
That's
you a
whole nother
bouncer
show.
at?
Oh my goodness. Tasmania on the landing,
Oh,
Bar
boy.
St. Louis. Have a nice day. I trained all of the bouncers, security. Once I came towards the end of my career, I created what's called Protectors Protocol. Where I trained all the bouncers and taught them how to legally use, what they can use. But I did 20 years, and I always say this to people. I say, what do you think I had the most fights? And they say, your fight career. I say, as a bouncer.
Right.
We fight two times a week. Every weekend.
Sure,
sure.
fighting
groups of people, weapons, all kinds of things. So yes, I was.
So
Bouncer and a
do
bodyguard.
people just get that, aggressive and violent in a bar, these nightclubs and whatnot? I mean, I guess alcohol just gets people, makes them crazy.
Yeah, it makes you, you're having fun.
And then
it
there's
makes
got,
you,
they got the guys and the
confidence.
girls and the,
Yes.
right?
You got the girls who, a lot of times.
Fighting over women,
Fight over
it's all-
women, the women who are fighting over men.
Yeah, you get, right.
And when I first started bouncing, I wasn't trained. They didn't train bouncers. And so
No.
it was horrible.
There was no handbook for the bouncer.
No, there was not. It was
Right.
just, you were a bully. Bully the bullies, do what you told. And I can remember when I got enlightened and we had gotten to a situation, I'm not going to say who it was, but it was actually a law enforcement. They came in and one of the guys took the money from the owner because one of his guys who was an officer was paying. They were off duty. There was a whole bunch of them. And he was paying. And then he said, we're cops. We don't pay. That's robbery.
Yeah.
And the owner
yeah,
said, I was standing
yeah.
up front. He's like, Jermaine, get kissed. So I grabbed him. And then one of them grabbed me. And then my boys,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the?
yeah.
And so we ended up fighting them out there.
Yeah.
We got to a big fight. Well, then at the end of it, we're cleaning up. And then the cops were coming, the local cops. And all of them, I was like, Jermaine, get out of here. I'm like, what? Get out of here now. And they're all hitting fences, running. I'm like, what are you guys running for? Like, no, you don't want me. And then I ended up, so I left. I'm paying attention
Yeah,
to them because they were
yeah.
the ones who taught me everything. But when I came back, I said, why were we running? They said, you don't want to go to jail. I said, wait a minute. That's not what I'm here to do. I said, we're here to protect people. They said, yeah, but you got to say, And that's when I ended up with Mike Griffith. And he ended up training me and
Okay.
teaching me how to train law enforcement. I learned all. He said, man, you need to go back and train these bouncers. And so
Yeah.
I created a program and I went back and taught them, what your job is. Your duty is to protect people, dude. You're not a
Right.
thug. You need to
Right.
make sure that, and you don't have the authority of a police officer. You guys can't do what they can do. So you need to be talking people down. You need to be de-escalating. So
Separate altercations.
yes, and most of the
Create
time,
space, get 'em
once
away
I
from
got
each
educated
other.
by him, 90% of the time, if there was a problem, I could talk him out of it.
Yeah.
Talk him out so easy. I would talk him out with jokes.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah,
good
just
at.
disarm them.
Yeah, I did so him. I'd walk up and say,
Yeah.
God, gentlemen, look,
Guys.
I know you guys want to fight, but look, man, I don't want my ass kicked by both of y'all.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
right
right.
now my boss is looking to see if I can handle this, and I'm not going to get paid if y'all don't stop. And this is what I'm saying. Y'all can roll around and get all sweat on this dirty floor. I think somebody peed down there earlier. You know what I'm saying? Or see them group of girls over at the bar? They've been looking at both of y'all.
Yeah.
So either y'all can get them girls, I'm going to let y'all wrestle around, do y'all thing, and then the police going to pepper spray you, and I'm going to go get them girls myself.
Yeah.
So y'all want to come get a drink at the bar? It's on me or not.
Yeah.
They would laugh. Oh, man, who is this dude? They would laugh, and then it'd be so funny because then they find out who I was. They'd be
Right.
like, oh my God, you could have killed us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
you were
Yeah,
a case
you were
fighter
that
and-
guy.
Yeah, so then you got these friends. You're developing friends, and now they're telling people.
Yeah, and
so
then
that's
now
what I
they
teach.
know they come in. The people come. They come and hang out because everybody's got their spots, right? They hang out,
Right.
And they know now. Okay, let's just everybody behave now, you know. But I've always found the bouncer thing kind of an interesting deal. But you also did some bodyguarding too, right?
Yes.
For who were some maybe famous people you did some
One
bodyguard?
of my favorite persons that I bodyguarded was Cassandra. What was Cassandra's image, Rebecca? Elvira. I don't know how.
Elvira.
I'm sorry, Elvira. Please forgive me for that. You know, it was just so long ago.
Oh, man, I remember her. She was great.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm about to go to a lot of.
When she just came into town for something, or was
Yes,
it a
she came in-
full-time gig?
Remember the haunted houses?
Yeah.
Well, the owner of the club of Tasmania was the owner of all the houses, Larry Kirshner. And he's
wow.
a great guy.
Okay.
Great guy.
I know that
beautiful.
name.
You know, I used to
Yeah.
train in security for the haunted houses and do bouncer
Yeah.
work there also. So Pinhead, when he came in, so I was always their bodyguard.
So they brought her in to make some
Yeah.
appearances at haunted houses.
Right.
And so
then I also traveled with Little Zane. I bodyguarded
Okay.
and trained Chingy. A lot of people don't know.
Oh, really?
Remember with Chingy, when he first started, you go look at him, he was a little skinny guy.
Right.
I'm the one, I put him on the weights, stacked him
Okay.
up, taught him self-defense, you know, and
Yeah.
got him looking great like he was. So then, you know, Nelly, like I said, for
Yeah.
Show Me St. Louis, Show Me, I can't remember the name of his foundation. But it was
Didn't
with his
Chingy
auntie.
perform down at the 4th of July celebration
Yeah, I think he
this
did.
year?
Yes, I think he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of,
yeah.
and it was great. My main, actually a lot of the gangster rappers and a lot of the gangster nightclubs where they would bring in, you know, what you call the gangster Ice Cube, you know, Two
Yeah.
Live Crew. I would provide security there. We would bodyguard them there. That's where we got to have a lot of combat fun because they were wild. There were always fights and
They were
things
always
like
trying
that.
to.
Yeah, and so I got great experience. We
But
used
you
the
had
pepper
a,
spray.
but you had your team,
Yes,
right?
I trained my own team, and
Okay.
I would bring the team in. Well, they would call it even the landing. You remember the landing?
Oh, yeah.
Right, all the clubs down there, they knew.
Oh, yeah.
I remember with the wrestling. When we would have the big wrestling meets.
Okay.
For everybody, they would come to St. Louis. Well, the guys who would lose, they would go down right there with attitudes, and they would call me, "Hey,
Where the
Jermaine."
bars were open till
The
3
bars
a.m.
were open till 3,
Yeah,
and
they
you
could
got all
really-
these wrestlers
really,
with these
yeah,
attitudes.
empty it out.
Yeah. And so they would call me and say, "Jermaine, we need your crews." And so I would get my crews, they had special teams. And they would use a lot of them, my MMA fighters. We would go and size up, go into all those bars.
Yeah,
you know, and
Mississippi Nights.
Yeah, Mississippi
the
everywhere.
Boomers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. There's all.
I'm trying to think what else was down there. Bar St. Louis. I mean, there was so many.
Harpo's.
And then the living room.
Okay.
You know, I trained all the
I think
security.
that was after my days, but
Yeah, it probably was Route 13.
oh, I've heard of that. Remember
Cheetahs. That was my buddy
that?
Jeff
Cheetah-
Lambs.
That was
Cheetahs.
on Washington Avenue.
Yes, Washington Avenue,
Yeah.
you know. So there was a lot of places. So I trained their security teams. It was always great because I had all these techniques to take guys down. And the Muay Thai is a great one. I got this one, you knee somebody in the back of the thigh. Shut anyone down. I had this guy, he's probably about 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Big bounce,
dude.
huge, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, come on, let me demonstrate. You mind if I demonstrate on you how easy it is, guys, to take somebody down? You don't have to punch him in the head. You don't have to.
Right,
and he's
right.
like, "Psh, yeah, whatever. I said, now, hey, I'm going to hit you, and it's going to bring you down, but it's not going to hurt you. Are you okay with that? I'm just going to hit you in the leg. You're like, man, go for it. And I said, it's only going to be 20% power. And I gave him a knee on that perennial nerve right there, and you see this big guy just drop.
So it makes your knee buckle.
Yes,
Is that
it
what
puts
happened?
you
So
down.
it just puts you down.
Well, it hits you there, and it
Just for a
hurts.
split second, enough time for you. to-
Enough, and then what I do is I yank you down to the ground and catch the head and make sure his head don't hit. So he's laying on his back and got a Charlie horse, like, whoa, he can't get back
Oh,
up.
boy.
You know, so he's not mad
Those
at
are
you.
the worst. Charlie horses are the worst. I hate those. But anyway.
But it was a great de-escalation because I didn't hurt him, I didn't embarrass him. And I said, guys, that's what you use. You can't body slam somebody in a puddle outside and think they're not going to go get their gun out of the car.
Yeah.
You would. So if somebody did to you what you've been doing to them,
Right.
what would you do? I'm going to get my gun. Okay. So you
Yeah.
have to think the same way. You can't treat people like that. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, you could have been in some of the Stallone's movies with the
You want to talk about my movie career? I was in the Red Canvas.
oh were you?
Yes.
Okay.
I was in
All right.
Nelly. Who's it? Nelly, Ludacris. Who else was it? Rebecca? She's always got the side for me there. You better start thinking of those names. Will Smith.
Okay.
All of us. We were. And who's it? Floyd Mayweather. We all were in a reality show called The Iron Ring. You know, Daryl Cobb was in it with my fighter, and we had fight teams. And Nelly and I had a fight team from
Yeah.
St. Louis, and we fought their teams from New York, California, all over. And we won. St. Louis won that, and
I'll be
beat all those guys, knocked them all out.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Now we were talking off camera about the models that you would train to be bodyguards and how effective they were,
Yes.
what their role was, and why you would do that.
I actually I was dating a girlfriend, and she was a clothing designer, one of the best clothing designers I've ever seen.
Okay.
And I was managing her and also providing security.
What kind of clothing? Just everyday clothing, or
No, it was very exotic. you
Okay.
know, but it was for the streets. You know, so
Okay.
these women. I
Okay.
mean, I can't even explain how incredible. This is how incredible I explain. all I ever wore was jeans and a t-shirt.
Sure.
That's all I would ever wear.
That
I
was-
didn't
yeah.
care. She would make shirts for me, and oh my goodness, you can look at pictures of me when I was fighting for the world title and stuff, and these shirts are just incredible. So she had models, so we would do modeling shows. Well, I provided
Okay.
security for it, and I would bodyguard the
Okay.
girls. And well, back in that day, that's when people were running these kidnapping things, where they would put up these flyers and put out and say, "Hey, are you a model? Come and try out for this."
Oh, boy,
And so
yeah.
I would warn all
Yeah.
the models about that, and I'd actually
Was
tell-
that sex trafficking? Was that abduction?
I'm pretty sure it was abduction more so than what it was
Okay,
back then.
okay, go on.
And the internet wasn't big yet. So
Yeah.
all I did was caught a whiff of it. And then I said
Okay.
to all our models, you model for me, you cannot go to those. If you see that flyer and you bring the flyer to me, and I'll have my people check into it.
Or
know.
go with you.
Yeah, and then we would send a bodyguard with
So the
them.
girls would go with the girls?
Yeah, well, not the girls yet. This is
Okay.
my men bodyguards who are my
Oh, okay.
fighters. So
Okay.
they would go with them. Well, then I said, you girls need to learn how to defend yourself. So I said, anybody who models for this company, you got to learn self-defense from me. So then I trained them in self-defense. Where they learned self-defense, some of them start training. Actually, they would do Muay Thai, do MMA on them, and they got good. They would spar at everything. And I actually started, I would always, whenever I travel, I'd have bodyguards with me. And actually, a lot of them were my friends. They were just all trained and certified security
right.
and bodyguards, because
Right.
I would train them. You're my friend, I'm gonna train you, And, and I never had problems with men. The guys, when they would see me, Jermaine, we were always cool. But sometimes an ex-girlfriend or something like that, they got a girl who's just a troublemaker,
Yeah.
and they want to show out to me because they're relying on my integrity not to smack the crap out of them because I'm a man. So I would see, sit there like that. And then one time, one of the models who was with me, she stepped up. And she's like, hey, I'll be up. And I'm like, yeah, that works nice, And so I'm like, that girl backed down, She's
Really?
like, come on, we can go out back right now. You're not going to ruin his life because he can't hit you because he's a
Right,
man.
can't
So I'm
hit
like,
you back, right.
So I took all the ladies, I said, hey, any of you models want to be my personal bodyguard. So when I go out, if I have any concerns with any females out there, you got my
You
back.
can take care of them.
You can take care of it, and I don't have to get involved.
Genius.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And so it worked really good because of two things. So I would go to clubs and, I'd walk in with all these gorgeous ladies,
Okay.
and they're ripped and shredded and great looking. I mean,
Yeah,
because they
they're
were all
very
models.
yeah, they're all
you know.
models, right.
And so everybody's eyes on me. And of course, people come, oh man, this girl, can I do, because they're beautiful girls. They want to hit on them. I said,
Sure.
no, so these are my bodyguards. Don't hit on them.
Yeah.
When I would say that to those men, they would just, so she
They're
can
what?
kick my butt.
They're what?
I said,
Bodyguards.
yeah, and you could just see that level of respect.
They're like, wait a minute, huh?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, well that's pretty genius, and they're still being they're employed still today to handle. certain-
Actually, that was when I was fighting. So I think I retired from fighting in 2006.
Okay.
So most of them right now, they went on. Some of them are models, some of them are running their own stuff. Actually, one of them, she's a chiropractor. They went on to other things. So the modeling companies is still not going now. Anybody who trains under me, I'm actually about to step back out. We're working on, some bigger things
Right.
with me. So when I step
Yeah.
back out, that same setup will happen.
Right.
Where I'll have my men, because the people who train under me, I say, and I would get them work.
Yeah.
If you train under me, I'll certify you in security. We used to provide the VIP security for guns and hoses, things like that. And I would
Right.
send my guys, those are all my guys who trained under me. And they would go down there and secure people, secure the VIPs and things like that.
Sure.
So, I'm always making sure we put them back to the community.
Right.
That's why I tell my guys, anybody trains under me, you got to put back to the community. We train the kids at Shriners Hospital. Anything
really?
we could, hey, you're not going to be out here just getting tough under me and walking around like this. You got to get back and soften that heart.
Yeah.
And give something back.
Right.
Deal with people on a level besides.
The women bodyguards is a great idea for like male celebrities.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. Yes, it is. Yes.
To counter that female aggressor or whatever, it really is. You don't think about that, but it's genius. It really is. And they don't expect it either.
Right, they don't expect
Nobody
it.
expects
and
that.
I always say this to women. I say, who do you think has, if there's somebody wants to jump to hurt me, and they want to hurt you, who do you think has a better chance at winning? Of course, they say, you, Jermaine. I say, no, I don't. I said, well, why not? I say, because they're going to underestimate you. They're going to come at you weak. They're probably not going to have a weapon. They're going to expect you to surrender. And when you palm strike them, I have to pull it, they're going to be like, what the heck? Who is this? Me, they expect me to be able, so they're going to come with a shotgun, 10 guys with baseball bats from behind while I'm sleeping, and they say, oh, I get it. So having female bodyguards, first of all.
Genius.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
So you're looking at,
you don't assume,
That de-escalates that male ego. Man, she's gorgeous. Oh my God. Is she really that hot? Well, I need to check her out. Oh my God. Well, wait a minute, there's another one. So they're occupied. And then they're
great.
wondering if they might be able to get a date.
Yeah.
And then the guy that they're dealing with, the guy they're protecting, he's cool because we always, you had to do an interview and application. We didn't bodyguard jerks.
You just tell them they're all married anyway. Don't leave them alone.
There you go. And their husbands are all male bodyguards.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. They're all in the same business. So just forget about it. Well, let's transition to the books you've written. You want to take me through maybe some of the ones in the very beginning, and we'll work our way through them.
Yes.
You've got 15
that are published.
Why don't we talk about those for a little bit?
One of my main books is my autobiography, and that's actually 2 books. The first book covers my childhood and when I actually went to prison when I was 18 years old.
Oh boy!
Yeah, so I did 6 years in there, and it was actually a great experience. I trained wild Mustang. Yeah, it was. And when I say that, I went in, because I was a street fighter, so I was very tough, and I was.
What'd you go away for?
Armed robbery.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's a long story behind why
you
that
were a
happened.
young kid. What were you, like 14,
18.
15,
Well, I was
18?
18 when that happened. And there's a lot. Thought I was taking care of my family. I wasn't ever a guy who was out hurting people. I never was greedy. I never was materialistic.
Yeah.
It was my girlfriend and I. She was 17. She was living with me. She was 17. I was 18.
Wow.
I was paying the rent. I had a job at the Holiday Inn, and I lived in Wyoming. If you even know where that's at.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sheridan, Wyoming, in a small town. And my job, I lost my job. And it wasn't because of anything wrong. I had to travel back to St. Louis for something, for business and family. When I came back, the job was just gone. So my girlfriend, her mom had just died of cancer, which is the reason we moved there.
Oh boy!
So she was down and out. We were about to lose our home. Our car broke down. Didn't know what to do. Called home, tried to get help. Nobody could help me. And I'm just like, I got to step up and be a man and do something. My
Your
woman.
back's against the wall.
Yeah, this is my woman, and her mom just died. Who knows what she's going to do? So I stepped up and just did the stupidest thing I could think of. Those were all my capabilities at that moment, my options that I knew. And of course, I ended up I got sent for 6 years. I even did a year of solitary confinement there. Now,
in the beginning?
In the beginning of my time there.
1 year solitary.
Yeah, a year solitary.
Is that 1 hour out a
Yes,
day?
1 hour
and
out
that's
a day.
it? You
Yes.
get to walk around a yard for a little bit?
No, you don't get to walk around the yard. You get to walk down the tier and go to the shower. That's it.
Okay, that's it.
You don't get out on the yard.
All right.
Yeah. So, but
Back in the sin bin.
Yeah, but while I was in there, the wardens were so impressed with my character.
Really?
My behavior that they gave me.
Where were you? What
Wyoming
prison?
State.
Okay.
Yeah, they gave me the maximum security yard to teach martial arts to the maximum security inmates and guards or anybody. And the way that worked, I said, I'll train, anybody who wants to come. And they were like, the guardian manager said,
So you had already had this at age 18?
Yes. Yeah, remember, I started at age 8.
So he knew what your background was?
Well, I got into a few scuffles. And so I was beating everybody's butts.
Okay.
And I mean, beating them up like, even one guy, I got attacked from behind by a guy with a weapon.
Okay.
And this is a moment when I found out who I truly was. And I beat the crap out of him. When I say beat the crap out of him, I didn't beat him bloody. I hip toss, he throw a punch, hit him in the gut, boom, knee, elbow him, he dropped down. And I was like, hey, I can take this guy out legally. He attacked me from behind with the weapon. He's in my
And it's
cell.
all on camera.
Yeah, and it's
they got cameras everywhere.
And I said, but at that moment, I felt sorry for him. And I was like, man, I can't hurt this guy. And I looked at him, I said, I have a hurt human being in front of me, and I'm the one who did this.
Yeah.
That's when I learned who I truly was. And I stopped and I said to him, man, can you stand up? And he looked at me like, he said, yeah. I said, come on, get up, let's get you back to your cell. And I stood him up, and he just kept looking at me, and he got in his cell, and he looked at me and said, thanks, man. And after that, we ended up becoming friends,
Is that when the warden
Well,
had you come to his office?
I went to solitary for that.
Oh, for doing that.
But this is what happened while I was in solitary. You're in solitary with 12 other guys, and they all knew who I was. And I trained them through.
While you were in.
Well, you got a bean chute that you can look through, and when you get out for that 1 hour, you're on the tier. And that's it. You get to walk the tier. And if everybody behaves, you can talk to each other. And they asked me to train them, and so I started training them. And this is the way it started. It was one of the guys, and he was a guy who was a troublemaker. And he said, "Man, can you teach me those martial arts?" And I said, "No, dude." I said, "This is a thing of honor. This ain't for you to beat your wife when you go home, or you to be stabbing people on the yard."
Right.
I said, and he's like, "No, I'll be honorable. I swear. I'll follow the code that you follow. I know you're respectable. Bam, bam. That was my name in there. We know how you are, man. This and that, And I said, you know what? You can't even. I said, you always rude to the guards and everything. You can't even respect them just for doing their job. And he said, "Yes, I can." I said, "Okay, you know what? And the day I hear you saying yes, sir, and yes, ma'am to the guards, I'll train you." So he did it.
Good barometer.
On that, so I had to stick to the deal, and I did. So most probably about 6 or 7 of them, they wanted me to, and I started training. But I said, these are the rules. You can't cuss. You better not mess with the guards or any other inmates. You have to be respectable and honorable, because I'm not teaching you this so you can do the wrong thing and end up
Right.
in jail getting more time, or get out and beat your wife, beat some kid or something
Right,
like
or
that.
whatever.
This is a code of honor you have to follow. So the warden heard about it, and he pulled me out. I was like, hey, you know, this, and he said, you know, and he gave me actually the yard to teach. For
How
3
old
hours.
was the warden?
He was.
Was he a young guy, older guy?
Older guy. He was an older cowboy guy, so he understood it. Let me tell you, this is how cool the warden was. If you had any problems in the prison, you had to fight it out in the smoker. So even the guards, if you were a guard, and let's say you and I have a problem, then I could challenge you in the smoker. If you didn't accept the challenge, you got fired. If you challenged me in a smoker and I didn't accept it, I got sent to solitary confinement. So he was old school hardcore. He was cool.
Boy, wow.
And then he would say, after you guys fight, I don't want to hear anything about it from either one of you, or you're fired and you're going to the hole. And he controlled
Right.
that place with such a great heart.
Wow.
You know, and that's a super long story, but he gave me the gym to teach martial arts. I
So
started
did he
teaching
just
them.
call you in his office one day? You get summons to his
While
office?
I was in solitary confinement, yes.
And he said he sent for you, and you went up, sat down in his office, and he said, "Look, I want to take it from there.
Yep,
I want you to."
He said, man, I hear about how good you've got that tier down there, the control you have. I said, wait a minute, no, I don't have no control of anybody, you know. They got control of themselves.
Yeah.
He said, Jermaine, I know what you mean. He said, what you think about teaching, you know, continuing this teaching? I see you teach down there, you
Right.
can keep doing it. He said, when you get out on the
Amazing.
yard. And I said, well, yeah, I would love to. He said, I'll give you the maximum security gym for 3 hours to train whoever you want. He said, the only question I ask is, these meathead punks who come here, can I send them? I said, oh yeah, because we will fight bare knuckle. He allowed us to fight bare knuckle, sparring,
Okay.
bare knuckle and everything. I said, yeah, you can send them to me. And I said, also, if you have any officers who want to train. And he said, well, doesn't that go against the prison code? I said, I'm not on the prison code. I'm on the human code. All right, your police officers, the people like that. When I get out and I train, police officers come to me, citizens come to me, you know, ex-cons can come to me, anybody. That's what the martial arts does, to help people to become a better person. So if I'm gonna be teaching them, they can come too. And anybody, any convict who doesn't like that, then they can't train under me. That's the
Right.
way it goes. So it was great, man. And you know, that's
That
why I
is-
say it was a great experience. And
That is amazing.
And I
You know
trained
what? This
wild
is
horses
better
in
than
there.
this is better than Shawshank Redemption. I mean, this is a movie right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming soon.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now you have written an autobiography.
Yes.
Talk about that. And that's how a movie usually, you know.
Yes,
Reads
so
from.
the good thing about my book is it shows all of the struggles I went through, you know.
How? Where does it begin when you're just a young man?
It begins at young man at, you know, probably, you know, 10 years old,
Oh,
11 years
boy.
old, because it
Yeah.
starts with, you know, I started in St. Louis, and I had to move to Chicago,
Uh-huh.
and I tell about the difference. You know, I got expelled in school before for carrying a weapon to a Saturday detention. But that
Yeah.
was because there was a gang. They were saying, if you don't join our gang, we're going to kick your butt. And I said, bring it on. I ain't joining your gang. So I actually, and they saw my nunchucks, and they expelled me from the school. So, and I got expelled, so I ended up having to go to a school in the deep city, where I got to see that the education system is totally different.
Yeah.
You know, way different. Nobody can say that it's the same. And I was
Yeah.
like, these kids, they have no chance. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. But it helped me to appreciate what I was getting when I was out there in the, you know, the county, the better areas,
Wow.
school. So I explained all of that. I explained the fights I had, and it shows my growth. How I grew into a responsible and learned to take accountability. Because the first book is my youth life and my prison experience. The second book is my fight career. Because
Okay.
when I came out, I
Okay.
came out homeless.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that. I
Really?
came out, yes, I came out. I didn't have anywhere to go. You know, I had no money, and you know, but I had bad friends. When I say bad, they were drug dealing. They were doing everything. I had access, and I had guys saying, "Hey, man, just come be my knockaround guy. I'll give you $3,000 a week." So I had all
Wow.
of that potential, you know, because they knew who I was, and you know, I had to make that decision, and it was because of had the things that. The way the warden treated me, those guys I owed, you know, loyalty to, you know, the things that happened in there, the way, and when I say the warden, his staff, you know, he had this thing, it's called respect and responsibility is the way he didn't mistreat anybody. He said, you come here, you're in here for punishment. I'm going to treat you with respect and responsibility because I want you to come out here a better person.
Right.
Not to go out there and hurt people again.
He
And that
truly
makes
wanted
it-
to rehab people.
Oh my goodness. He
Truly
was,
wanted to do
Dwayne
that.
Schillinger was his name. And Gary Starbuck was the one who ran the
What was his
farm.
name again?
Dwayne Schillinger.
Okay.
Yeah, and they had a great thing going, and the recidivism rate was so low there, and they said I don't think anybody ever came back for a greater crime. If they did, it was a lesser crime that they did. You know,
Yeah.
so I thought about them, and I said I can't betray that. I can't betray them. And then I have my mom, my sisters, you know, people like that. So I said my prayers, you know, and I said I need some help here. You know, and then after I did that, then everything just turned out. I became a janitor.
Did you get out early?
I got.
I mean, you were
Well,
doing,
I did.
you were doing such great things.
Well, I got in trouble while I was in there. I did 6 years on a 5 to 7.
Okay.
2 5 to 7s concurrent. And I got in trouble because there was a disruption in the place. And, you know, when I first came in, Warden Dwayne Shillings was the warden, and it was all rehabilitation. Great place. Let me tell you something. This man, he would come in with his grandchild to the maximum security yard, and he would go to your cell and say, "Hey, what's happening?" He was, "Oh, Dwayne," hug you, and say, "Hey, man, I'm gonna go check the guys out. You want to hang out with my grandkid?" Yeah. You babysit his grandkid.
Yeah.
You know, and then he'd go down next cell, you'd be watching movies. What do you guys watch? All this and that. And he'd go around, you ate all your meals with the guards. They sat there at the table. He would eat with you. Okay, he'd go from yard to
He'd come
yard.
down and eat with you guys.
Yeah, and when they
hang
had
out.
boxes, smokers, baskets, he would open the prison gates. The gates. Nobody ever tried to escape. And the town could come in and watch. And sit right there. You'd be sitting there, you know, in the gymnasium. They got a boxing smoker or basketball, and there's a hot girl right there. And I said, and the guards be there, "Can I talk to her?" Of course you could talk to her. He wanted you to become a human being. So he said,
Right.
"I want you to have those experiences." You had trailer visits once a month with
So
your
people
wife.
would just come in and hang out with you guys.
They'd come in and hang out during certain times. It was incredible. And it
I've
worked.
never heard of such a thing.
It worked. So when I went in there, I'm like, where am I? You know, this is awesome. Well, they ended up losing him, and there's a long story behind that. When they lost him, things got agitated. And while I was getting agitated, everybody's going against each
He
other.
got transferred to another prison,
Oh,
or
this is a long story that I don't want to
just
talk
wanna
about.
retire?
Read my book about that.
Okay, all right.
You know, because
Read
that's
the book.
That's another long story there.
Okay.
But I would like to say that, you know, so what I could see what was happening. I was always very, very, you know, perspective. I could see things, and I could see what was going on, and there was a lot of agitation happening to make some money come in for certain
Yeah.
things. The guards were getting turned against the inmates, and that wasn't true. The guards were like that. The guards were getting replaced by aggressive guards, and so I informed the guards of what was going on. I actually brought all the heads of the gangs and races of the inmates together and talked to them and said, "Guys, you guys know how Dwayne and this and one, but you guys are this and that, da da da, blah blah blah." You know, and then I talked to the guards, and it actually calmed things down. Well,
Right.
when you're controlling something like that, you can't control everything. I was a kid. I was 19.
Yeah, right.
You know, so you still got people. So it looked like I was running the show.
Right.
Where hence I ain't controlling nobody
Right.
when he asked me that the second time.
I'm just trying
so
to
so I was trying to do
calm
that, but I
things
didn't
down.
really know what I was doing at that time.
Yeah.
So they got threatened. You know, which if a prison feels threatened, they need up, and they locked it down. Came in with dogs and shotguns, pulled me off the yard, threw me in solitary for a year. You know, so that's how I ended up in solitary. They
That's how
flattened
you
my
got
time out, so I had to do the full 6 years.
Okay.
But they ended up paroling me the last because I had been doing so well. They
That's
took me
what
to
I
the
was
parole
at.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took me to the parole board. It's so funny because I was trying to, while I was in solitary, I went, and I'm like, "Oh, I want to get out, please." You know, they're like, "Yeah, right." And they wouldn't let me out. So when I went I had that 1 year left, or 2 years, and they went, and they were like, "Well, sir, Jermaine, you want parole?" I said, "Actually, I don't care. I don't need it." I said, "I'm actually very comfortable here. I'm complacent. You know, I'm working on a plan, so when I get out, things are right for me." I said, "You know, I'm in the band here. You know, I trained and broke wild horses." I said, "You know, and the guys here are really cool. You know, I said, so no, I'm fine." So they paroled me. I'm like, "What?" I didn't.
Little reverse psychology.
Exactly.
You were institutionalized. You were like, "I like it here. It's
Yeah,
kind of cool."
I'm fine. You know, and they say that happens after 5 years, and it does.
Yeah.
The institutionalization, and people think institutionalization means you're violent. It doesn't. It means you're just used to
Yeah,
certain
you're used
things.
to it.
Like
Yeah.
used to the certain pattern. One of the things you're used to that we get institutionalized with is respect.
Right.
You're used to respect. You're used to people paying for what they say. You don't disrespect. You can't be disrespectful enough because you're going to pay for it.
You're gonna pay
Then you
for
come
it.
out to the real world. You got these
Yeah.
people just, you know, it's doing things. You're like, and that's where a lot of people end up going back. They can't handle the
can't.
mistreatment in normal society because
Right.
in there it's not like that.
Right.
It's so respectful. It's so structured. You can't even. Sometimes you can't even beat people up without getting permission from the other convicts.
Right.
Because you're going to mess up everything for them.
Kind of
you
like the
know?
mafia.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Sure.
Who would you have play you in a movie?
Oh my, we've been trying to figure that one out. Who is it? I'm gonna go to Rebecca on this one. I know she's paying attention. I know we said Michael B. Jordan was somebody we thought because they got to be younger. He may be getting too old.
Who would play the younger you?
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, I don't know.
You don't know?
You know, I've actually got a nephew who I can send you his picture. He looks exactly
He looks like
me.
you?
He's built
Okay.
exactly like me. So we're gonna check his acting skills, you know, and
Yeah.
get him some and see if he can be one. But we're actually working on that one now. And playing me as an adult, you know, I wanted to be Denzel. I wanted to be, you know, oh man, who's my favorite? Who's you know, I'm just lost for names.
Morgan
right now.
Freeman?
Michael Jai White.
He's a little too old now.
But
But
Morgan Freeman could do it.
But what a great actor.
Yeah, we get the sales.
I remember him when he was an easy reader on the Electric Company.
Yeah, that's
on
right.
Channel 9. That's where that cat got his start. Boy, he come a long way.
But if I get
anyway,
Morgan Freeman maybe to play Ron Smith,
Yeah.
then all the sales are made. It's going to sell like crazy. So we are working on that one. I haven't seen many young actors at that age, 19, 20, 21, that coming up, that have caught my attention as a martial arts.
Yeah.
But those great guys, like I said, Michael Jai White, people like that. I mean, I would love for him to have played, put some dreadlocks on him.
right.
Let him go in there playing, but he's probably too old right now for that role.
Oh man. Yeah, that's well. I mean, you're not obviously going to divulge a whole lot about that, but I think.
I would like to say too.
Just listening to your story, I mean, I think it would be a tremendous motion picture.
Yeah, it would. And that's what we're probably going for. The documentary would be great because then you get a lot of the truth. When you make a movie, everything changes.
Right.
Because you only got 2 hours. So
Right.
it's based on a true story. That's why it always says that, because a lot of you look up and say, and when it's done, that's not my story. They say, but that's what's going to sell.
Would you rather do a documentary or a movie?
I have to have both. I would like to do both
do
because the
both.
movie's entertaining and you want to entertain everybody.
We interviewed Lindsay Berra last couple weeks ago, who is the granddaughter of Yogi Berra,
Right.
famous ball player for the Yankees.
Yeah, I saw that you did at her house.
Yeah, I grew up.
Yeah.
And we did it in Yogi's living room, and she was a producer on the documentary for him, and it was fabulous.
Yeah.
But I said, you really ought to do. There should be a movie done on him. I mean, Billy Crystal was very prominent in that documentary. He also did a movie called 61, which was about the Roger Maris story about him chasing Babe Ruth's home run record, and Mantle was involved in that too. It was a major character in the movie. But you wonder why, Billy Crystal wouldn't want to do a movie about Yogi, since he was such a big fan of his. But anyway, so you'd want to have both. Might as
I
well
want to
do
have
both.
Well, I want to do a documentary to get the message across.
Right.
Because there's a big message in the way why I turned out the way I did, the way that I love and care for people, but the way I will defend myself, and you have to know how to do it. So that message all gets taught in the documentary. Too long for a movie. When it comes to the movie, you have to think of, first of all, is the movie going to sell and is it going to entertain? So bringing in the professionals and the experts, to help with that, they're going to change your story up.
Yeah.
And you just got to be willing to accept whatever they put that's going to make it to the screen.
Right.
because
That's right.
you can put some stuff out
somebody's
there.
got to buy it.
That's right. If they're not watching it, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, somebody's got to buy it.
Yeah. So I like to do both. The documentary
Why
first.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not do both? And and now that Missouri has the film commission is back up and running.
That's right.
You could film it right here in St. Louis.
Yes.
Which would be great.
Yeah, and actually, Jack Snyder, he wrote the script for me, and it was called The Ultimate. He wrote it for me. But as a matter of fact, Jamie and I, we were just talking about that when we did the trailer and everything for my movie, and he wrote that script, and the script was sitting just ready to go. And like I said, everything in there, he had a shot. Like I had 2 sisters and a brother, and actually through my dad, I've got 3 sisters and 2 brothers, but different things happen in the documentary or in the autobiography.
Oh, okay.
But he narrowed it all down to 1 sister, So you'd go watch the movie and say, well, Jermaine, what happened to your brother such and such? And your other, they said, well, everything that happened, he put it in one person because you can't just have all these characters.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, and then the stories, even the prison stuff, he had it down. I had 5 guys who were my main guys. He had it down into 2 guys. So a lot of things like that change in the story. It's a lot of stuff they have to pull out.
Understandable.
Definitely.
Right. Otherwise, it'll be like a 4-hour.
Yeah, but this is a good thing. It could be a series. That's what you have now.
There could be.
with Netflix and just episodes.
It could be a series. You're right.
Yeah. So
Now
we are considering
you're
that.
right, and people love those.
I love them.
I love them too.
Yeah, I'd rather see this 8. When I see 8 series, I'm like, oh, awesome. Now we can have a couple nights with
You know
this.
what I like to do is now they're starting to release the whole season.
Yes.
So if you want, you could binge watch the entire series in one or 2 cities, which I think is great. Like it's perfect for a rainy day.
That's
You know,
right.
you could start early in the morning, man. Just have this day-long movie, which is fabulous.
Well, we love doing that so much. My woman and I, Rebecca and I, we love that so much that if something comes out and it's only got 1 episode or 2 or 3, we won't watch it. If it's got 1 season, we won't watch it.
You'll
until
wait
the
till
second
it's over.
season hits.
Yeah, right.
Yep, when the second
And
season
then you
hits,
watch.
then we'll watch it. You know, and then we figure, well, by the time we get through these, the second season should be starting.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get stopped.
No,
you know?
no. Who wants to wait a whole week to see what happens next? Just roll right into the next episode, which is great. No, I'm with you. I like to watch the whole season in one sitting if
Definitely.
I can. You know, but anyway, man, hey, thanks for doing the show.
Def, thanks for having
You've got a great story, and I hope you get that documentary done and a movie, and best of luck to you, man. Thanks for doing the Supper Club.
Definitely, thank you for having me here.
All right, you got it. The Supper Club brought to you by
Kuna Food Service, a family-owned tradition since 1918. The Pasta House Company Restaurants. Lordo's Diamonds, your family jeweler for life. Barquette Realty, nationwide real estate investor.
and Fresta Limoncello. Keep sipping, my friends.